Hi everyone, it's Melissa here, and it is day number 4, you guys, in our Barbie Week video series. My vintage sister Angela and I are taking you on a journey with us as we muddle through all of our Barbie bins and Barbie stuff, and we have clothes and dolls and furniture and little teeny tiny boom boxes and shoes. And anyway, we love Barbie. We grew up in the 80s, so Barbie was our friend. We played with Barbie, made clothes for Barbie, styled Barbie, cried with Barbie, laughed with Barbie. Okay, anyway, you get it. And we both have Etsy shops. We're vintage resellers. That's kind of our main job. That is our main job. That's what we do. Is we all this is around our Etsy shops. And so, why not bring the things to your Etsy shop that you love, right? And we love Barbies. So we love to source this kind of stuff. It's just, you guys, Barbie is a lot of work to like go through all the little stuff and put outfits together and clean, and what we're doing today is dating our Barbies, as in like making sure that they're vintage. So vintage, you guys, is 20 years or older. So this is 2021. So if we do the math, 2021, so 2001. So anything from 2001 and before, right, is actually technically considered vintage because the definition is 20 years. Something has to be 20 years old to be vintage. And then there's that controversy. I hear antique is 50 years or older for antique, but I know some people think antiques actually are older, need to be older than that. But anyway, for our sake, vintage Barbie. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about it. I might teach you a few little tips and tricks. There's really no way to absolutely 100% completely tell what year your Barbie is from unless, right, she's in the original box. She has an original outfit that, you know, like she's in her original outfit, and that outfit and her body, the date on her body, kind of go together to tell you what year that doll came out. The thing is, over the years, so many people have taken off the original outfit. I mean, how many of you did that? I did that. Like, we'd get a Barbie, like, I remember there was a Barbie, and I'm not gonna say it right, but it was like Kissing Potion Barbie, or there was a Barbie that had like a white dress with little hearts or kisses on it or something. But of course, we all take that dress off and we put her in different clothes, right? Because I used to play with my Barbies, so they go to bed, so they'd put pajamas on, or they would go to the beach and they'd put a bathing suit on. And so much of the time, those original outfits do not get put back on Barbie, and then she gets put away. Years later, she gets donated, or she gets, you know, tossed, given away, and her outfit isn't original. So it's really, really rare to find, well, a Barbie, a vintage, an old Barbie, right, in the original box. That's huge, unopened. Those are the best. But even in its original outfit. So every once in a while you come across a Barbie in its original outfit, but 9 times out of 10, we can learn how to kind of date the Barbie doll. But as far as the outfit, it's hard. So anyway, that being said, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you a little bit about show you the dolls that I have here in front of me. I'll hold them up and kind of talk about them, and I'm going to be inserting some pictures and video also, so you can kind of see what I have going on here. So let's get started. So yeah, so I have a ton, you guys, first of all, of Barbie dolls. I have a whole big box full of naked Barbie dolls, you know, that need clothes and I need to identify, but these are the ones I have gotten sourced more recently, and so these were the easiest ones to work with. So I think for me, the first thing that I do when dating a Barbie doll, because I grew up in the 80s, is there's so much in the face. Like, you can look at the face of a Barbie doll and kind of be able to tell, you know, okay, is it vintage, is it new? However, I'm saying this because there's another little catch. Sometimes people would switch Barbie heads, like take them off one body and put them on, like if the dog chewed the leg on your favorite Barbie doll, then maybe your mom took the head off of that Barbie doll, saved it, and put it on another body. And so again, we're not absolutely 100% sure, right? So I'm gonna hold this Barbie doll up so you can see this doll. You see her hair, you can kind of see her face. You know, she's got bendable legs. Okay, and then we have this Barbie doll. Now, she also has arms down. See, exactly. See the arms? Arms are the same, bendable legs, hair, right? But look at the face of this Barbie doll, especially like in the eye makeup, the eyes. And then look at the face of this Barbie doll. So if you're like me and you know a little bit about Barbie doll, you might say that, well, this Barbie doll is definitely older because her face looks like more of a vintage, not her body, we're talking about the face, of a vintage head style face, right? Makeup. But, you know, sometimes those repos are really, really hard to tell. So you guys, the way that you really, really tell how old your Barbie doll is it's all about the back. The buttocks, the butt, yeah, the right butt cheek and the middle of the back. So we're gonna get a Barbie that we can undress a little bit easier. So the oldest Barbie dolls, first of all, right, Barbie goes back to the 50s, right? The original Barbie dolls, the first Barbie dolls, the real older Barbie dolls, they have the date, or the date, right, the date, but then also the origin, the country of origin on their right butt cheek. So like Japan, and it's gonna be on their right butt cheek, okay? So those are the oldest Barbie dolls. And Barbie dolls were made in Japan from 1959 until like 1972. That's when Barbies were made in Japan. So if you find a Barbie with something on her right butt cheek and it's Japan, you know you've scored a really rare, you know, like a rare, because those are the oldest Barbie doll. Then after, so not on her butt, excuse me, as she's, but it's hard. I have my trusty magnifying glass, but it's on the small of her back. So like right about in here is where you can always look for some kind of marking on Barbie. So let's take this Barbie, for instance. So we're gonna look, so this one says Mattel Inc., okay, which they'll all say, Mattel Inc., and this one says 1966, okay, and I'm gonna tell you something about that. Mattel Inc., 1966, Malaysia, okay, that's what this one says. So here's the thing, guys, 90% of Barbie dolls have 1966 as the date on their back. And so a lot of people will get all excited and be like, oh my gosh, I found a Barbie doll from 1966. No, you didn't. So 1966 is the most common body style for Barbie. We're talking about the mold that they used to make the Barbie. So 1966 body mold is the most common. So like I said, for us sorcerers, 9 times out of 10, your Barbie doll is going to say 1966. What matters is taking that 1966 and adding the country of origin, because there is a timeline of where Barbies were made, what decades, or what, well, I guess it's not decades, it's more what years. Some span decades, but some, you guys, were just a couple years. Barbie was made like in certain places, just a couple years. And so if you have that cheat sheet, right, and I'll insert a slide with the dates and the cheat sheet so you can look at it and see it, and if you want, copy it down. But it's really where Barbie was made. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. Where was your Barbie made? If she has 1966, again, remember, it doesn't mean she's from 1966. So a little bit of a history. So Barbie, 1959 and 1972, Barbie was made in Japan. Okay, and those are gonna be your oldest Barbie dolls. So I have one that's right on I have one here to show you that's right at the edge of that, on the edge, the upper edge of that. So this is a vintage Skipper doll, you can see, and her body does have on the back Japan 1972. So this doll is at the very top end of that vintage window where the Barbies were made in Japan. So this is a true Japan, made in Japan doll, and again, she has 1972 on her right above, above her right butt cheek. So 1972. Okay, then from and some of these overlap. So Mexico, so Barbies were made in Mexico in two different little eras. So 68 to 70,
If your Barbie's 68 to 70, Barbie was made in Mexico. So if you have a Barbie that says like 1966 Mattel Inc. and then has Mattel Inc. 1966, that's the order. And then, so it has like always Mattel Inc. and then 1966 if it's that common mold. And then underneath it'll have the country. So if it says Mexico, it was either made in 68 to 70, or they made Barbies in Mexico again from 89 to 90. So it's either 68 to 70 or 89 to 90 if your Barbie says Mexico. And again, then you just have to look at her and go, okay, so obviously if it was 68 to 70, it's gonna look a little more like this. If it was 89 to 90, it's gonna look a little more like this. So then you just have to kind of look at it and kind of gauge more modern versus more vintage, right? So then after that, after Mexico, so then from 73 to 78, we have Korea. Okay, 73 to 78, we have Korea. I have my cheat sheet. Oh, I forgot, so from 1970 to 1987, which is a lot of the Barbies I grew up with would have been from the early 80s. So they would have kind of fallen into this category, these two categories. So 70 to 87, Hong Kong and Taiwan. So now we have Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan are the oldest. Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and then Korea, 73 to 78, and the Philippines, you guys, 76 to 88. So one can easily say if your Barbie was made in Korea, the Philippines, Taiwan, Hong Kong, or Japan, you've got to definitely have a vintage Barbie. Okay, and then Mexico is in there too, but remember Mexico came back in 89 to 90, which still makes your Barbie vintage. It's just that she's a little newer on the newer vintage end. So then the biggest kicker, so then where is Barbie the most recently made from? So if you're Barbie, so then in 1986, okay, so still vintage, I was a kid. I mean, still we're talking the 80s. Some Barbies were starting to be made in China. So China from 1986 to present day, Barbie is made in China, Malaysia, and then Indonesia joined in 1992, and some are still made there today. So we have China, Malaysia, and Indonesia, you guys, are actually the most recent Barbies that have been made. But they're not all like new Barbies. I mean, China goes back. We just said China goes back to 1980. So China, actually 1986, China, I think it's 86. Can't remember if it's 86 or 80. No, I think it's 86. So China, Malaysia are 86 to present. So that's still quite a ways back. However, today though, and then we have Indonesia added there in 92. Hey everyone, it's Melissa, and I am going to show you the timeline that I have created with the Barbies that I am working with today. I've kind of put them in order of the oldest up to the most recent. So I will start here with this Skipper doll, and she's the one, if you saw in the video, I was working with her hair, trying to kind of fix her hair. So this doll is from 72, and she was made in Japan. And then we have this Ken doll, and he is from the early 80s. So Ken. And then we have these three Barbie dolls, of which I believe this one is either like a workout Barbie or total hair Barbie. Again, there's that whole thing of, did somebody put the clothes on total hair Barbie that go to the workout Barbie? So, but these are definitely all late 80s. This one is Western, has clothes that resemble Western Barbie, but again, do we know if this is truly Western Barbie? So these Barbies, this Barbie, these three, late 80s, pushing to 90, right? But they all kind of have similar faces. And then we come over here, And this Barbie, so now the rest of these Barbies, you guys, all have dates actually on them. So this Barbie says 1993 Indonesia. So we know this is from 93. This Barbie has 1995. Okay, so again, kind of an older face, both these. And then these three Barbies, you guys, right here, these three, they all have 1999 on the back. So these I can sell in my shop because they're 99, right? And anything from 2001 and back is vintage, but these are kind of right at that top end. So these are 99. And in the 90s, Barbie dates were started to be put on the Barbie doll itself, which kind of makes it helpful. It still has the country of origin because remember, it can still be China, Malaysia, Indonesia, but it has the date. So these are 99, we have 95, 93, and then these are the late 80s. And then we have Ken, and we have Skipper. So these are the dolls that I have been talking about and working with in this video. I will insert a picture of some of the oldest dolls that I have sold in my Etsy shop. I had a couple dolls from 1962 Japan, and they were in their original boxes, you guys, with really old cool clothes. One had the original outfit, but they were pretty cool. And so I'll insert those pictures in this video so you can see what those look like. And when you look at them, you can just tell right away by looking at them, they look nothing like any of these because they're the 60s and they're one of the original Barbies, right? 62 is only a couple years after Barbie was being made, so. So that's just a little bit of a history, you guys, of Barbie. And so really it's not about the, the head. I mean, it is, there are dates on the back of the head, but really, you guys, you're dating the body. And then, because we have like this one, like, jointed arms, see these jointed. So this doll, right, with all these joints, I'll hold three up. We have this one, okay, and then we have, this one. So this one, and this one, okay? So if you were to look at these, right, or if I was to look at these just off the cuff from what I know, I would have put this one as the oldest. And again, I'm only going off of her head, which isn't always the best, but I would, just from what I know, I would put her as the oldest. Okay, and then we have these two, right? So when you look at these two Barbies, this body style right here is most closely related to the ones I grew up with in the 80s with the bendable knees and the straight arms. But her face to me looks a little bit newer. But then there's this Barbie, right, whose face looks a little more original to what I remember, but she's got like jointed arms and legs, right? And I don't remember my Barbies really ever having this kind of, like, this body is way closer to what I remember than this. So I probably would have put this one as next and then this one as the newest. But you know what, you guys, actually this Barbie is older than this Barbie. And for some of you that may not be surprising. Some of you may have picked that, but for me, I'm not used to these kind of arms and legs. So this brings up another little tidbit. So some Barbies starting in the mid 90s, they started actually writing the date on the back of the Barbie. So both of these Barbies, even though the body mold, right, looks just like the mold, 1966 mold that I'm telling you is very common, this Barbie actually has like 1996 or 1999. I'm not looking right now, but I believe, or maybe they're 99, but this one actually has Mattel Inc. 1999 and then the word China. So it was made in 1999. And this one here says Mattel, this one says 1993 Mattel Inc. Indonesia. So this one was made in 93 in Indonesia.
So at some point, they started putting the actual year the Barbie was made and the country of origin, and you can still use your trusty little notes, but they started putting the actual year. So let's look at this one. So this one says 1998 Mattel Inc. 1999 Mattel Inc. China. So this one was made in 99, you guys. So this one is barely vintage, right? Because we said 2001 is vintage, so she's just kind of right on the cusp. So in the 90s, they started actually putting the years on the back of the Barbies, but they always have, Barbie always has the country of origin, okay, always. So I hope you kind of learned something in dating the Barbies. I'm gonna insert a slide of my little timeline here of Barbies that I have right now that I've sourced and I have ready to get put into my Etsy shop. I'll pan over and do a little insert so you can see kind of the order they go in as far as what I can identify as the oldest to the newest. I know that another way is the hair, the newer Barbies, not newer, but the 80s, 90s, and today's Barbies, their hair is rooted all over. See how it's rooted hair? It's out of the scalp and it's rooted all over. The older Barbies, if you lifted it up, they looked bald right here because their hair was or they looked bald in the center because their hair was rooted at the perimeter, where these full rooted heads of hair are a little bit more recent. That's one way to tell. Another thing that I wanted to share with you is, again, the whole thing about which Barbie doll is this, which doll, and I just kind of give up on that. I try to get the best I can as far as a decade, 80s, 90s, or some of these I can put 99, right? Because we know that on this one. But this doll, for instance, I kind of did a search on her, and she could either be a totally hair Barbie, she's got all this hair, totally hair, or workout Barbie, okay? And of course, when you look at her clothes and everything, we think workout Barbie. But she could be the totally hair Barbie that somebody just went ahead and put workout clothes on, right? So we don't really know, because this outfit showed up under workout Barbie, gymnastic Barbie. So, but her face showed she was totally hair Barbie from the late 80s. So again, right, I can't really say, so you have to be really careful if you're reselling Barbies, because you don't want to give information that you don't absolutely know. This Barbie came up in a couple searches as Western Barbie, again, late 80s, early 90s, but there were a couple different Western Barbies, Western wear Barbies. So I don't know if someone dressed her, right? Or if she looks very similar to the Western Barbie in her face and her hair, but will I call her Western Barbie? Well, sure, I can call her that and put kind of, the year I think, or around the years I think she's from. But again, I can't be 100% sure. This Barbie, because see how she has glitter in her hair and she has that little braid. Her hair is very, very distinct. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's very iridescent-y looking. It has some gold throughout it. And these earrings too, sometimes you guys, if they have their original jewelry, that can be a giveaway. So this outfit is not original to this Barbie, but the earrings are still original, and the hair, the braid and the hair. So this Barbie I found was called Splash and Color Barbie in the early 90s. And I do believe I identified her because her body, the year, where she was made on the back, which says for this Barbie, says Malaysia, and we know that Barbies were made in Malaysia in the late 80s through present, and so that lined up. She could easily have been made in Malaysia in the early 90s, and then because she has such distinct hair and her earrings match the hair, I'm gonna feel pretty confident that this is Splash and Color Barbie. So, some of them it's easier than others, and then this little gal that gotta fix her dress, but she's, I know this isn't an original dress, and she does have earrings, and most of the time, you guys, when Barbie has earrings, they are original earrings, because how many of you changed your Barbie earrings? I didn't change her earrings. For one, I didn't really have other earrings to put in, right? They just didn't really make Barbie earrings, or I didn't have any, and they're not the easiest to come out. So I would think 9 times out of 10, the earrings that are on the Barbie are probably the original earrings. But I don't know a lot about her, so I'm just really gonna have to age her based on the
country of origin on her back. I do know this one says 1966 Mattel Inc. And then I just have to look at where she was made. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, is just getting them kind of cleaned up. I wipe them off a little bit. But before I go, the one other thing I want to show you is what to do with hair. See this hair? It's all matted. So obviously this hair is in pretty good shape, right? I mean, it can still be combed and I could still do it also. This hair is in pretty good shape. I mean, most of these dolls' hair is in really good shape. This doll, the oldest doll, however, her hair is a little rough. It's a little matty. It's kind of bedhead. So you guys, what you can do is you can take a bowl of like lukewarm water. I got a little bowl here. And you just put a little bit of like mild soap and fabric softener in the bowl, right? In the water. And then you don't get her whole, face, and you just kind of immerse her hair. See how, I don't know if you can see, it's hard to, I'm just dipping her hair down in the bowl, and then you just kind of take your fingers and you just kind of start like working through her hair, kind of pulling it out, separating it. And most of the time this works, but her hair is pretty matted. So it can sometimes take a while to let it kind of all, and sometimes you have to let it soak, but it should kind of help loosening up some of those mats. And sometimes I also realize that I maybe didn't add enough fabric softener, and so I have to go back in and like add a little more fabric softener. And then what I do is I just slowly start, I'm gonna move my papers here. I just slowly start combing it out. As I'm doing this, I can tell you guys, so Ken Barbie doll, right? Barbie's boyfriend, Ken. So Ken is another doll that's kind of interesting and kind of hard to identify. But again, you can kind of look at those same countries of origin and kind of get an idea. But Ken had hair, so there's the bald Ken, right? Like I know in the 80s, the dolls, all the Ken dolls we had were the blonde bald Ken dolls, right? They just had the hard plastic hair. The head was just no real hair, right? And so, but then nowadays, I know my nieces when they were young, they had Ken dolls that had darker real hair, like rooted hair. And so then, and that would have been like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So then I started thinking, well, maybe only new Ken Barbies have rooted hair, but I've read that there were a couple Ken Barbies that had rooted hair that are definitely older, like in the late 60s, early 70s. So again, even with Ken, you just have to go off of where it was made, right? The country of origin. And then, and then you have to use your common sense, look at his maybe face and his hair, but again, don't look at his clothes, because like we said, people can dress Barbies, and just because they have a certain outfit on doesn't necessarily mean that that's the original outfit. So we're getting this, guys. So it's definitely better than what it was. I'll show you in just a second. I mean, her hair was definitely had seen better days. And then I'm just gonna have to lay her to dry. I mean, she has to dry, but as you can see, it's still, it smells good. It's still a little matty, but you can see how it's starting to separate though. See, it's starting to separate. So the more I kind of work it as it dries and kind of comb it and brush it, the more it's not as matty. I mean, there's really only so much we can do for these gals, right? We have to admit, they are old. This doll is as old as me. So, almost literally. So she's
she's been around for a while. So I guess she's earned the right to have a little matted hair. But I'd say that that's better than, you know, we're getting there. That's a little bit better. So that's just a tip. And you guys, you can do that tip with all dolls, not just Barbie. You can just put a little bit of mild soap in lukewarm water and add a little fabric softener. And it usually kind of helps do the trick to get the snarls out and the mats out, so you can at least put the ponytail back up or restyle the hair just a little bit. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video today of my Barbies and working through my vintage Barbie dolls. And again, stay tuned because we still have days 5 and 6 and then a wrap up on day 7. So we still have two more days of Barbie videos, and then we're gonna do a wrap up. Angela and I will get back together and we're gonna wrap it all up for you. We kicked it all off and we're gonna wrap it all up. So I hope you've learned something. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell notification. If any questions, any thoughts, if maybe you know something I didn't know, you know, feel free to let us know. So thanks for watching and stay tuned. Angela will be up tomorrow with another great video in Barbie week.